Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. There is a new game changer in coronavirus testing, according to a non-government medical group. That is through the saliva of a person. 2 countries are now in the lead in developing this testing method. Jen Cabiling tells us how.
The saliva-based coronavirus test could be a game changer in this battle against the COVID-19 pandemic. Project ARC Medical Director Dr. Mingita Padilla said a private sector campaign for COVID testing is aiming to bring the innovative diagnostic method in the country to boost efforts to screen people for possible infection. Currently being developed in Israel and the United States, the testing method aims to trace virus infection via one's saliva, and that it simply requires a person to spit into a kit. Also known as the spit test, the method skips a long process of isolating the genetic material of the coronavirus before it undergoes another test via the polymerase chain reaction.
Ang saliva test naman, antigen test, ito talaga hinihintay ng marami kasi magagawa mo nito sa bahay. Ginagawa sa Israel at sa San Francisco, ito na ginagawa nila. Dudura ka lang sa isang kit tapos malalaman mo na kung may COVID ka. Again, it's not yet here, but this is very promising. Ito yung mga initiatives ngayon ng Project ARC, no? Yung full PCR testing, yung antigen in the swab, at yung antigen test in the saliva once it will be here. Susubukan rin ipasok ng Project ARC together with, of course, with the FDA, no? And the RITM, of course, no? And the DOH.
In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has reportedly granted the emergency use of a saliva-based test developed by the Yale School of Public Health. Yale researchers said laboratories may reportedly charge only $10 per sample from the testing method called Saliva Direct.
Itong saliva test, pwedeng gawin araw-araw kasi $1 lang yata, no? So, you can test before you go to school, before you go out, bago ka pumunta sa opisina. Game changer talaga ito kung maipasok sa Pilipinas. We just have to check the sensitivity and specificity. Pero, marami tayong pwedeng gawin at we have a lot to look forward to. At hindi titigil ang Project ARC finding ways to test and test and test. Cheaper, mas mura, mas maraming tao. Para makabalik tayo sa more normal, more socially integrated, no, as soon as possible. Maiwasan yung mga depression din.
In Israel, the Sheba Medical Center has also launched trials for saliva test and hopes the results can be determined in less than a second. Apart from the newly developed saliva testing, Padilla said Project ARC will explore the use of rapid antigen testing to detect people with the illness. For MB Now, this is Jen Cabiling reporting.
Our country is gaining momentum against the coronavirus pandemic as the transmission rate starts to slow down. But some experts say an inch of complacency can lead to a spike of COVID-19 cases. Alexandria Denise San Juan gives us details.
The country is certainly gaining momentum on its battle against the COVID-19 pandemic, but there is still a need to maintain this for a long period of time. And maintaining this would mean limited movement among people and regulated operations of business establishments, requiring everyone to restrict social activities. According to Dr. Guido David of the University of the Philippines Octa research team, the country is likely to see a flattening of the curve by the end of the month or in September, as the transmission rate or R0 was observed slowing down from 1.5 to 1.1. But David emphasized that the flattened curve is not irreversible, as there is still a possibility that there could be another surge or spike in the number of cases.
Sustained dapat yung efforts natin para mapababa natin yung bilang ng kaso. So, target natin mapababa yan to 2,000 to 1,000. So, it can take several months pa bago natin ma-achieve yung gusto natin, which is talagang manage na natin yung pandemic. So start pa lang to ng process, kumbaga. And as an example, sa Cebu, na na-flatten natin yung curve more than 30 days ago, 300 new cases. Hanggang ngayon, flattened yung curve nila. Hindi pa naman nag-increase yung transmissions. Pero bumaba ng number of new cases nila from 300 to less than 80. So yan yung gusto nating makitang result dito sa Metro Manila. Mapababa natin yung number of cases. So hindi ibig sabihin na flattened curve, pwede na tayong magpabaya at pwede na tayong bumalik sa dati. Hindi pa tayo babalik sa dati. It's still the same. We have to sustain the efforts and reduce the number of cases.
Meanwhile, UP Professor Ranjit Rai urged the government and the public to sustain the gains from the modified lockdown recently imposed in Metro Manila and nearby provinces.
No, nasa crisis level po tayo. May nakikita kaming positive na development. Ang gusto lang namin sabihin, sana mag-take advantage tayo sa positive development, magtulong-tulong tayo, huwag tayo magpabaya at mag-ingat palalo tayo para lalo natin masustain yung gains na nakuha natin sa MECQ na napakamahal, no? Ang laki ng binayad natin sa MECQ na from the economic and social standpoint.
For MB Now, this is Alexandra Dinisanuan reporting.
Interior and local government said on Thursday, Metro Manila needs more than 10,000 additional contact tracers with the surging coronavirus disease 2019 cases in the area. In an interview, DILG spokesman Jonathan Malaya explained that there are currently 4,000 contact tracers in the metropolis, which is not enough to cover a population of 13 million. Malaya said the hiring of additional contact tracers is in line with the 1:800 as required by the World Health Organization. Successful applicants will undergo training at the local government academy or the Philippine Public Safety College. Interested parties must submit a transcript of records, application letter, NBI clearance, personal data sheet, and take a drug test. Once the Department of Budget and Management releases the budget, Malaya said the DILG will start the hiring process. Under the proposed Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, which is awaiting the signature of the President, 5 billion pesos was allocated for the hiring and training of contact tracers. The military vowed on Thursday to use the newly enacted Anti-Terrorism Act in the aftermath of the deadly twin suicide bombings in Sulu. But Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Gilbert Gapay did not disclose the specific provisions that can be used, what with the concerns raised that the ATA could not yet be fully enforced. This is because the ATA's implementing rules and regulations have not yet been promulgated. Security forces are pointing to Mundi Sawadjaan of the Abu Sayyaf group, which apparently planned and carried out the suicide bombings. Sawadjaan is said to be the bomb expert in the ASG and the one who orchestrated all the suicide bombings in Sulu since last year, including the Holo Cathedral bombings. Gapay said the provisions of the Anti-Terrorism Act are enough to hold Sawadjaan and his cohorts responsible for the bombing. There is also a need for immediate actions as Sawadjaan and those involved are believed to be still holed up in Sulu. The resignation of Philippine Health Insurance Corporation President Ricardo Morales has been accepted by President Rodrigo Duterte. But presidential spokesman Harry Roque was quick to point out it won't immediately absolve him from any liability amid an ongoing corruption probe in the state health insurance firm. Roque explained that public officials could still be held accountable for any offense even after they vacate their post under the country's laws. Morales submitted his resignation on Wednesday, a year after he was appointed to the top PhilHealth post in July 2019. The retired military general earlier denied allegations he was the cuddler of fraudulent schemes in the firm amid criticisms over his supposed weak anti-corruption efforts. But Morales eventually submitted his resignation to the president, stating that he needs to seek medical attention as the beleaguered former military man is suffering from lymphoma. Roque said the president hopes the resignation of Morales will lead to his recovery from his current ailment.
Kinakailangan na magpagaling po si General Morales at ang sa tingin naman ng Presidente, makakabuti naman sa kanya itong desisyon na mag-resign na muna nang makapag-concentrate siya sa kanyang kalusugan. No? Wala naman pong timeline kung kailan po magtatalaga ng kapalit si Presidente, pero kinakailangan po ang talagang iuupo dyan ay walang bahid ng korupsyon, meron pong managerial skills, meron pong kakayahan sa larangan mismo ng insurance at saka ng health service. No? Dahil lang ating PhilHealth naman po, hindi lang yan insurance company, yan po ay magpapatupad ng universal healthcare.
In Metro News, Quezon City's number of COVID-19 cases different from DOH data. 2.3 million pesos worth of shabu seized in Marikina by bus. And Manila starts distribution of 1 billion pesos worth of gadgets, SIM cards to students and teachers. More in this report.
Quezon City government found out that there's a discrepancy between the data of coronavirus disease cases of the Department of Health and of the Quezon City's epidemiology unit. According to August 25 data of DOH online COVID-19 tracker, Quezon City has already had at least 20,007 cases. But in the August 25 data sent by the Quezon City government to reporters, which was also validated by the city's epidemiology surveillance unit and the district health office, the city only has 10,170 COVID-19 cases. Although the DOH noted in its tracker that some case data are still for validation and that discrepancies with the local data may incur. This also means there's a huge discrepancies of at least 9,000 cases between the data of the national government and the local government. Mayor Joy Belmonte sent a letter to DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III asking to set the vision and direction in improving data quality for rapid contact tracing of the agency. Over 2.3 million worth of shabu were seized from an alleged drug peddler out on bail and his 3 other cohorts inside his house in Marikina City on Tuesday night. Marikina Police Chief Colonel Restituto Arcangel identified the suspects as Noel Del Rosario, 32 years old, Sonny Boy Manalili, 32 years old, Ariel San Pascual, 38 years old, and Jeneline Saceda, 34 years old. All of them are residents of Barangay Malanday, Marikina. Seized inside the house of Del Rosario were at least 340 grams of suspected shabu and various drug paraphernalia. Police said that the street value of the shabu they recovered is 2,312,000 pesos. The buy-bust, according to De Castro, was conducted after weeks of surveillance and intelligence gathering of the Marikina police. The Manila City government on Wednesday began its distribution of over 1 billion worth of gadgets and connectivity devices to public school students and teachers in preparation for the new blended distant learning setup. Manila Mayor Francisco Escomorena Dumagoso, along with other government officials, turned over 136,950 tablets, 11,000 laptops, 11,000 pocket Wi-Fis, and 286,000 SIM cards with a monthly allotment of 10 gigabyte bandwidth to the different stakeholders and representatives. They will then distribute them to around 296,000 public school students and 11,000 teachers before the opening of the academic year 2020-2021 October 5, Department of Education said. Manila Vice Mayor Hani Lacuna Pangan said they aim to lessen the burden of the parents, students, and teachers in spending money for gadgets for the new learning setup, as face-to-face learning is still discouraged amid the COVID-19 crisis.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. Western Visayas records highest single-day COVID-19 recoveries. Ex-NPA turned farmers get livestock from the government. And Davao City to prohibit improper face mask disposal to avert possible COVID waste crisis. More from this report.
The Western Visayas region recorded its highest single-day recoveries after 150 people recovered from the coronavirus disease, according to the Department of Health Western Visayas. The COVID-19 recoveries recorded on August 26 surpassed the previous record of 63 recoveries last July 17. Western Visayas region currently has a total of 1,703 recoveries, 45% out of the 3,738 total COVID-19 cases recorded since March. There are currently 1,980 active COVID-19 cases in the region, with 87 new cases recorded on Wednesday. Majority of the cases, 82 out of 87, were locally transmitted. Former New People's Army rebels continue to receive livestock donations from the government that will help them pursue livestock farming after abandoning the armed struggle. The government donated 5 piglets and 50 chicks. 47 former NPA rebels already benefited from the government assistance. The former NPAs also benefited from the livelihood training of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, such as electrical installation maintenance, organic farming training, and basic business management training. The improper disposal of non-reusable face masks will soon be prohibited in Davao City once the local council passes the proposed ordinance imposing penalties on violators to avert a possible COVID waste crisis. The proposed ordinance will impose a fine of 500 pesos or reprimand and seminar for the first offense, 1,000 for the second offense, 2,000 for the third offense, and 3,000 for subsequent offenses. The ordinance states that used face masks should be treated as hazardous and contaminated waste, and proper disposal should be observed in the household by cutting them in half to avoid their possible reuse, before disposing them in a small garbage bag and disinfecting them with the recommended bleach solution. The ordinance also states that disposable face masks should not be flushed in the toilet or drain and must not be thrown into canals, streams, rivers, beaches, or any bodies of water.
In world news, 18 whales die in Mauritius stranding. Insect spray chemical can kill coronavirus, according to a UK study. And cinemagoers turn out for Tenet, first blockbuster released since pandemic. Let's watch this report.
18 melon-headed whales wash up on the shores of Mauritius on Wednesday, according to the country's fisheries minister, dismissing any link to a devastating oil spill earlier this month. The whales, some of which were still alive when they were found and later died, were stranded on the southeastern beaches of Grand Sable, and some of them had injuries. All 18 of the whales, a member of the dolphin family, had died, but that there was no trace of hydrocarbons on them or in their respiratory system. Greenpeace called in a statement for an urgent investigation into the cause of the strandings. A chemical used in insect repellent can kill the strain of coronavirus that causes COVID-19, according to a preliminary study by Britain's Defense Laboratory published on Wednesday. Scientists at the Defense Science and Technology Laboratory found that citriodiol, the active ingredient in repellents such as Moscigar, had antiviral properties if mixed with the virus in the liquid phase and on a test surface. The work has not been externally peer-reviewed, with the Ministry of Defense saying it was intended to act as the foundation for other scientific bodies who are researching the virus and possible solutions. The coronavirus pandemic is not yet over, but hundreds of moviegoers take time to watch the movie theater release of Christopher Nolan's new film, Tenet. After several postponements, the film, which ran to a $200 million budget, is the first of its kind to dare a release during the pandemic. Tenet was released in more than 70 countries, including most of Europe, Canada, Australia, and South Korea. The US release is planned for September 3 and hopes to capitalize on the important Labor Day weekend. Hollywood megastar Tom Cruise, who is filming near London, tweeted a video of his trip to the cinema on Tuesday to see the film, adding the caption, "Big movie, big screen, loved it." Christopher Nolan's Tenet, seen as savior for cinemas.
In entertainment, the teaser for the official music video of Blackpink and Selena Gomez's song Ice Cream is out, and fans are more hyped than ever before over the collaboration. The video teaser for Selena Gomez also shared a video in her social media accounts. The 17-second teaser shows a sweeter side of Blackpink, often seen as fierce in their previous music videos and performances. Minutes after the teaser was uploaded, Blackpink, Selena, #Ice Cream, and Sell Pink in one day all trended on Twitter. Fans expressed excitement over Blackpink doing a pink concept again. And in sports, the Milwaukee Bucks led a historic sporting boycott over the U.S. police shooting of a black man, forcing the NBA to halt its playoff schedule and prompting a wave of walkouts across multiple sports. The NBA postponed its entire slate of Wednesday fixtures after the Bucks refused to play Game 5 of their Eastern Conference first-round series against the Orlando Magic. This is in protest over the shooting of African-American man Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin on Sunday. Blake was seriously injured after being shot point-blank in the back 7 times by police officers in a confrontation captured on video. The Bucks' no-show prompted the NBA to scrap 2 other games scheduled for Wednesday, Houston's clash with Oklahoma City Thunder and the Los Angeles Lakers matchup with the Portland Trail Blazers. At an emergency meeting of NBA teams in Florida late Wednesday, the crisis threatened to put the entire season in jeopardy, with LeBron James, Los Angeles Lakers, and Los Angeles Clippers both voting to abandon the season. All other teams voted to continue. It was not immediately clear whether the Lakers and Clippers would continue the season as scheduled. A walkout by 2 of the NBA's strongest teams and title contenders, as well as its biggest star, would deal a devastating blow to the credibility of the season. The NBA's Board of Governors is meeting on Thursday to address player concerns. In the midst of the pandemic, some of you might be losing hope and asking why, and asking for a sign. And a sign is exactly what online participants witnessed during a mass at San Agustin Church in Intramuros, Manila last August 20. In one of the altar view during the live stream, a silhouette figure is seen looking like the image of the Santo Niño appearing in front of the altar. Father Arnold Santamaria posted screenshots of the appearance, and many have commended and asked that the Santo Niño to heal our country. And those are the news on Web today, August 27, 2020. For more news and details, get your copy of the Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow or log on to www.mb.com.ph. You may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.